start out with a roll call.
Coles,
Here.
Tony, Miller, Regano, Poole.
Here. Okay, would everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you for that. We have agenda item 1.4, approval of July 25th, 2013 meeting minutes. I need a motion to approve. I'm sorry, hold on. Agenda item 1.3, adoption of the agenda. I need a motion to approve the agenda first. There we go. Miller. Second. Cole. This seems like deja vu. Didn't we do this before? Okay. Any discussion, any changes? Are you okay with it? Okay, roll call.
Miller,
Yes.
Poole,
Yes.
Coles.
Yes. 1.4, approval of July 25th, 2013 meeting minutes. Need approval.
So moved.
Motion made. Cole
Second.
and Miller. Any changes, guys? Roll call.
Cole,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Coles.
Yes. Because I didn't understand it either. I think you got to add that S on there. Cool. Okay, so 1.5, approval of July 20th, 2013 special meeting minutes. I need a motion to approve. Mr. Miller, and I will second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Miller,
Yes.
Coles,
Yes.
Poole. Yes.
Agenda item 1.6, approval of August 8th, 2013 meeting minutes. I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Oh, I need a second. Miller? Okay, discussion? Roll call?
Poole,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Coles.
Yes. All right, agenda item 2.1 is Springboro Education Association report. Is there anybody here representing the Springboro Education Association? No, having none, we'll move on to agenda item 2.2, Springboro Classified Employees Association report. Anybody here from SCEA? Kathy Miller. Okay, anything to report? Okay, thanks Kathy. And agenda item 2.3, public participation prearranged. We have none. We will move on to public participation. Here is where you can speak for 3 minutes on anything on the agenda. Is there anybody who would like to speak on anything on the agenda? A short meeting. All right, superintendent's report. We have agenda item 4.1 on approval of where?
3.1.
Going a little too fast, sorry. Wishful thinking. Treasurer's report 3.1, approval of July 2013 financial statements. Is there anything you want to say?
July 13th, 2013 financial statements.
I need a motion to approve them. We can do them as a group.
Just one item.
Okay. That's Mr. Miller. I need a second.
Second.
That's Mrs. Cole. Any discussion, guys?
I just wanted to ask, in the 300, and I had this earlier today when I was looking at it, but in the 300 fund, when we have the revenues from the, I believe it was the summer camps, is that the total revenues that those camps brought in, or is that the 20, is it 20% off
The
the top?
total, it's all included in the 300 fund.
So,
Mr. Lewis is keeping spreadsheets, so he has a spreadsheet, of all his accounts. He separates on a spreadsheet, so he has his general operating, and then he has his on the spreadsheet, he accounts for each one of his sports accounts. Each sport that has a fundraiser. No, Mr. Lewis.
so is there a way to look at the cumulative totals from the standpoint, like, boys, I'm looking at, the revenues, the 300 fund, I'm on page, yeah, but I mean, I'm looking at, high school track fundraiser, $235, and then I look at like high school boys camp fees, and I've got $60, $525.
You wanna know how much is in the track account?
I don't necessarily wanna know how much is in the track account, I just wanna know what we're generating from these summer camps, and if there's,
Mr. Lewis, he met with me the other day. What he wants to do is divide it out to where each sport has their own account in our accounts instead of basically it goes into one. So what he's doing is working out a system, then he's going to meet Tracy and try to enact that. He needs to see how things will roll in and how it will disperse out within the organization.
We can get you though, I mean, we can provide an account on how each camp did.
well, I just think, from time to time I'll run into people that might have run the hoops outing.
Right.
And you see this money coming in, and you don't necessarily have an idea of what it is, and so you want to thank those people when you're out that
Right.
you generated, that's all.
Right.
Just gives you a better way of building these
We
things.
can get an accounting for each fundraiser we did.
But keep in mind, it's, correct me if I'm speaking correctly, but it's the first time that these camps have actually been kept in-house fully like that, run by us. So that is going to be one of those things. Where are they going to go? Is it going to be in a different line item or not?
I know there have been some statements by the auditor on, across the state, trying to make these more manageable and make sure they're run legally. And, because, they have been across the state run differently. Did they come up with any kind of guidelines for us on that?
Our attorneys
Maybe we
looked
can
at
ask-
everything. Actually, as Mr. Holweiler and Mr. Wilhite was going through these camps, I was sending some of their financials to our attorney saying, does this work for you? And I had the attorneys, they actually liked it. So it was almost overkill to some extent, the way they were doing it. But Tracy and I met before they started.
I think I understand what you want, you wanna know how much each camp is raising, so that you can thank the camp organizer or the fundraiser organizer about how much they
Yeah, or
raised.
even plead to get people to come to the camps or try to push it, it's a great revenue
We can get that.
producer, or it's not. or-
Okay, yeah, that's no problem.
Okay, any other questions on the financials? Okay, roll call?
Miller,
Yes.
Poole,
Yes.
Folds.
Yes. Okay, 4.1, superintendent's report.
I'm actually taking care of this for our business manager. This is the request for the approval of the resolution declaring a case of urgent necessity and authorizing the purchase of the replacement chiller clear drink. Just to refresh your memories, it went down, and instead of going through Johnson Controls, we actually went through the carrier company. Took a little bit longer, but now that it's in and working, cooled building off well, now we will put in for the insurance and any state rebates since it is a new chiller. John will do that next. He's not here.
So you need us to approve the resolution.
Correct, yes.
And it's a approval of resolution declaring a case of urgent necessity and authorizing the purchase of a replacement chiller at Clear Creek Elementary. So I need a motion to approve. Miller, I need a second.
Second.
Cole. And, you guys have any questions on that? Okay, roll call?
Miller,
Yes.
Poole,
Yes.
Folds.
Yes. And 5.1, approval of videographer rate of pay.
Good evening, this is, 5.1 is approval of rate of pay for the videographer, who is Matt Morgan, for the board meetings and other items as needed.
Okay, need a motion to approve? Mrs. Cole, I need a second. Miller, and any questions, guys? Roll call?
Poole,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Folds.
Yes. 5.2, approval of consultant contract.
This is for Title I math at Dennis Elementary. This is a second year for this position, paid through Title I funds.
Need a motion to approve? Cole, Miller, second. Any questions, guys, discussion? Roll call?
Poole,
Yes.
Miller, Folds.
Yes. Mrs. Benson? All the rest in one?
Yes. These are approval of resignations, items 1 through 7, or actually 1 through 10. And then we have, for employment, items 9 through 69.
a motion to approve the personnel items. I will move to approve the personnel items. May I have a second? This is Mr. Miller. Okay, any discussion? Any questions?
Did somebody really resign the first day? The bus driver?
And between routes, yes. It's a tough job.
I'm sure, but it seems like there's some other spots.
One that isn't shown, we also have one in the kitchen also.
The first day,
Well, actually, the kitchen was before.
and I thought those kids were angels. Trust me, I know better. Yeah, I have a few. So, okay, guys, any other questions? Roll call.
Coles,
Yes?
Miller,
Yes.
Poole,
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Ms. Johnson. All right, 6.1, approval of resolution setting compensation for administrative staff. Do we need anybody to tell us what that is? Curious what that is? All right, so, well, yeah, let me just summarize it. You know, we're trying to certainly develop a fair system of compensation for administrative staff, and I think we came to an agreement that we really want to set a precedent here where the administrative staff is going to develop on their own criteria for evaluation for themselves. So they will be setting over the next year goals that achieve, what do you call that, a plan? Just a set of goals or their plan for the year.
Yeah.
And, there's a possibility in this resolution of a up to 2% merit raise. So they'll be the first ones to kind of start the merit raise system rolling. And we did give everybody in the district, I think, $1,000 to help cover the change in the insurance costs for the year, the 80/20, so that nobody is held harmed. So we did do that for the administrative staff for this year. And then during this year, they're going to set up a merit system for themselves with goals with Mr. Petrie.
Ohio Principal Evaluations.
So much like the OPES format.
And, well, that not only has goals, but it also has the 50% of that is the student growth measures, just like for OTES. So it would be based on how the data performs within each of those.
And that's up to 2%
Right.
for the merit. It's possible.
Right.
And are there any other questions? Yes. All right, so that is 6.1, approval of resolution for setting compensation for administrative staff. I need a motion to approve. Mr. Miller, I need a second. Second, Mrs. Cole. And any further discussion? Roll call.
Miller,
Yes.
Poole,
Yes.
Coles.
Yes. And 6.2, approval of superintendent's vacation days to be carried over.
4 days.
4 days. Need a motion to approve? So moved. Need a second?
Thanks.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Poole,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Coles.
Yes.
I would like to clarify, should I don't get it purchased, so I either use it or lose it. In this case, before they knew I couldn't take all. That's a special negotiation, so.
So,
Looks like you need to look for
If my
I'll
wife
expect
would
that
agree.
next year, that'll be part of your plan.
My wife would agree with that.
okay.
Do what you do.
I can harass him in work sessions. Okay, any board member comments, Mrs. Cole?
I'm just excited to get the year started. Kids are having a great time. Everybody seems excited in the classrooms, and the messages coming home from the principals are all very encouraging, and sounds like we're all on the right foot.
Great.
Friday night football game home.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And come hungry, please. I mean, the concession stands are where the athletics makes a lot of their money, so don't eat dinner, come hungry, eat up. Buy lots of fan store stuff, right? The athletic boosters, don't they usually sell some
Yeah.
spirit wear, some paraphernalia? So come with your pockets full.
I can verify that it's Springboro people, and I think Mrs. Vincent, Mrs. Schrittenberger, and Mr. Martin, Tanner Green, from the Bengals meeting that the Springboro Community comes hungry.
Oh, good.
They work in concession.
We worked the concession stand.
Did you? Good. Good to know.
We were exhausted.
And they're willing to work again this Friday.
Exhausted. I said, do these people not stop eating? Where do these kids keep coming from?
That's good. Be a joy. John?
I just wanted to congratulate everybody for a successful start of the new year. Looking forward to a great year. And the only negative I heard is, why did we start on Monday? It's 5 days and everybody has to start. Everybody's getting tired. So that was one negative I heard. But other than that, I heard it's been a great start, especially with all the new team in place. It's like Mrs. said. There's been a lot of excitement in here in the community. So congratulations everybody.
Yeah, the administrative staff, the principals, the building staff have done an awesome job making this a seamless transition. Because that's what I'm hearing from students and their parents too. It seemed to be, just from one year to the next, and they're slipping right in here. A couple things I have to announce. One is that the Secretary of State's office is the official State of Ohio documents reserve. And as such, they put together a website that's called, I'll put this out there, but John Husted, Ohio Secretary of State, Founding Fathers portion to their website. So since they own the documents, they believe it's their job to put it on their website. So this is the place where you can get the originals or copies of the originals. If you have questions, you can go to their website and get a lot of your questions answered. So I met with them and they told me to make sure everybody knows about this new part of their website. Good place to get information. Also, I wanted to indicate, and I guess I can't get through this without saying a little bit of, I told you so, sorry guys. My husband hates it when I do that. But when I was looking at the report card, I was looking at the schools in Warren County, so I put together a chart and I put in everybody's grades. And I know that last year there was controversy over this conversion school idea. And all I knew and all I kept saying was I believed we needed something different for the gifted students. That we had a large population of unmet needs. I knew that because it was presented to us from the previous curriculum director. I knew that because I had children that went through the system, and I knew the numbers just were making it so that a lot of our children who would be served in another school district were not served here. So I kept throwing out that as an idea, and I did get shot down quite a few times. But what I saw from this was that our district, as great as it's doing in almost everything, one of the categories that we got a D from the state was gifted, value added. We received a D. Franklin got an A. Mason got an A. But Lebanon got a D. Kings got a C. Wayne got a C. And Little Miami got a C. So it just kind of told me that there's a lot of schools, at least in Warren County, struggling with this category of student. It's not just us. So obviously we have some deficiencies, and I always, I'm not focusing in on those. I'm saying we have to acknowledge that we have some deficiencies that we need to address. That's one of them. I had hoped that last year we could start to address that, and I know that we are. We hired, 1.5 more people in gifted, and we just have to keep surveilling that category of student and making sure that if there's new information, please bring it to us, because it never hurts to share what other people are doing, what other ideas are out there, what you guys are seeing in other schools. Obviously, Franklin and Mason are doing something we aren't doing, so that's some good schools that we can go kind of ask them, okay, what you doing with the gifted people? Let's try to see if those programs work here. But again, I think I indicated that I thought that was the category of student that we needed some special programming for. And we'll keep our eyes on that. I just want you guys to know we're paying attention to the data, because that's our job. Another thing I wanted to mention is that Mr. Petrie, over the last couple of weeks, I told him I was going to say this, but he said, Kelly, I wish I could let things roll off my back the way that you do. And I said, well, it might be that because I'm a little over 40, And that helps mellow people out, but also maybe because, raising kids does some of that too. But I've learned to kind of categorize comments and input in 3 categories. One is input that's meant to be helpful, and one is input that's meant to be harmful, and one is input where people just don't know all the facts. And then you have to decide which category you wish to address. And I've decided that there are 2 of those categories that deserve my further attention. And, over the last 3.5 years, we've had a rough 3.5 years. I've had 3 heart surgeries. My husband has broke his neck in a car accident, and then we lost our home. But in all of that, it was absolutely not a big deal, because I felt blessed the whole time. Blessed that I had a passion for this job, blessed that I have my babies, and they're healthy, and that the bigger issues are clear in my mind. And that's these children, and my job to take these children to their potential, like I've strived to do with mine. And that's exactly what I've been doing. And I pray that everybody here and Mr. Petrie feel the same blessing, that we're here, we're healthy, and we know what we're doing. And I feel blessed that the staff we have knows what they're doing. And I'm grateful for that. And I feel just such a sense of comfort over the future and the path we're going to take in the future. And I know that there are people trying to catch you, and I think the nervousness and the animosity is there's people who are trying to catch you saying something wrong and doing something wrong. Sometimes they do it on camera, and sometimes they do it in emails. And there isn't any doubt that I'm going to do something wrong, and I'm going to say something wrong, because I'm human. But I don't see any, there's nobody who will pass a purity test, let's just say that, because Jesus Christ isn't sitting up here. So that being the case, we're not all going to be perfect, we're not all going to be pure, but you have to trust the motives behind the people that you did elect, or that got elected. And I do trust our administrative staff to do what's right. I'm feeling pretty good about the next several years and my children's progress towards reaching their potential. And I just pray that you have that same sense of, you know where you're going, and don't let some of the people interfere with that path. And that should bring you some calmness, I hope. Let it roll off your back. All right, thank you. All right, next, about to end here. Public announcements. Is there anything besides the football game we need to announce? What else is coming up?
I just want to announce this.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just want to announce that the Treasurer's Office was awarded the Certificate of Excellence in Financial Reporting by the Association of School Business Professionals on our CAFR, which is our Certificate of Annual Financial Reporting. If anybody asks, it's that big financial document we do every year. This is for 2012 because we complete it at the end of each school year. We're working on it again, and we'll be working on it again for 2013. It's due by the end of November, so I just want to let everybody know. You come to the Treasurer's Office now, you can see our wall of fame. So here's all of our little certificates we received. Hopefully we should be receiving another one from GFOA, which is the Government Finance Officials Association. So, thank you.
Great job. Great job.
We also have the alumni game, not this Friday, but the following Friday. So we'll have a lot of our alumni there as well. Trying to get that work out.
Okay, that's alumni game?
Well, it's the alumni game.
Oh, I see.
So
Oh, so it's a regular football game at the end.
they'll have a tent there, it's my understanding.
That's right, I forgot. Sure. Anything else, any other public announcements, guys? What are we forgetting? All right, 8, future considerations, pretty much same thing. All right, we're gonna take a 10-minute recess, and then we're gonna reconvene in the library for work session. Regano?
Thank you.
We have committee reports, and Mr. Regano, would you like to start?
Okay. Our policy committee has not met in a while. We have a meeting next Friday, scheduled next Friday at 9 o'clock. In the central office, our plan is to go over some of the curriculum-related policies at that meeting. At our previous meeting, had distributed a few of those, and the homework assignment was to review those and bring any comments to this coming meeting. The safety committee, while we haven't met, we have been exchanging copies of draft documents. We have our report, draft report is out among the committee for review, and we're waiting for comments to come back. Depending on the board's agenda, I think we might be prepared to present on the 12th. And if the board's agenda is too full for the 12th, then we could postpone it for the meeting. That would bother us, so at the board's pleasure. That's all I have, Dr. Cole.
Okay, and do you have anything for Dave on the budget and finance that you'd like to update us with?
I need to pass on that and see if he provided me something.
Okay. And there's nothing from my committee, although I do get reports, and if you guys are interested, you can always go online, and there's board docs for the Warren County Career Center. So you're welcome to go there and see what things that they're doing. And I'm on the board there. This is my second year. You know, they talk about their needs. It's a lot like Springboro, although they really only have, I think it's 780 students total, and they're just juniors and they're seniors. And they're there for a variety of different kinds of career choice curriculum. But they do also take some of the core courses there, the core curriculum there as well. But it's totally up to the student whether they take their core courses here and then their career courses there, or they can take the whole day and all of the curriculum there. Good, you guys can hear me? I thought I was loud. Oh, that's right, forgot. Okay, so again, you can go online and look at the Warren County Career Center. Those board meetings are really short. Something I wish we could do here, but it's just not possible. We have a lot of things we talk about here, and over there it seems like nobody really has a conversation about anything. It's a little disappointing to me. I'm the only one that typically asks questions, it seems like. But that's what drives some people nuts, evidently. So anyway, go online, check them out. If you have any questions, certainly call me and ask me. But they do represent quite a few of our students over there, and they have some really good opportunities for students who feel that, and my son is one of them. I think he has expressed some interest in going to the Career Center, and he can't quite decide whether it's fire or police, or I'm telling him if I have a nurse, I have a physician, I have a pharmacist, I'm trying to push this fourth one to law, I just really need a Bob the Builder. So I'm seeing if he'll take some of the construction courses, or there's some architecture, there's flying, there's all kinds of really cool careers that you can push the kids over there to take some courses into. And it's a really good school. So I highly recommend it. Okay, that's it. Let's see.
Dr. Mills?
Yep.
I don't see any notes that Mr. Petroni sent me, but we did have a budget finance committee, and I can speak to a little bit of that from memory. We had I guess it was maybe two presentations, but they were kind of joint presentations. And we had a firm come in and talk to us about energy saving projects, and using the programs that are available to us that guarantee energy savings. And this firm was going to guarantee a certain amount of energy savings for a certain amount of investment, and they would provide the payback period to us. And what they wanted to do, what the proposal was, is to come in and do a assessment, which would be at their cost and no obligation to the board, but they would come in and do an energy assessment across the district and develop a plan. And if the board accepted that plan, it would entail probably issuing a couple of bonds, maybe not a couple of bonds, but a bond to do the projects. And is that correct, Ms. Jarvis?
No, the COPS, certificates of
Oh,
participation.
okay. Yes, similar to a bond. For those of us for those of us not into technical finance, it would be similar to a bond. But we would issue that for the amount of the project. And there's a caveat there, not a caveat, but that's the second part of the presentation that was added on here. But let me talk about the first part. So we would have these issue these certificates, which basically debt, and for the amount of the project, and then we would have a guaranteed payback. And if the energy savings didn't accomplish that, the company would write us a check. So it would be guaranteed and no risk. Now, we also had, I guess, a bond underwriter, and all these guys were named Dave, and I can't remember the last names, but they're all named Dave. So Dave, the bond underwriter, was there, and he said that what a lot of districts will do is when they issue these certificates, they will add on some money and then finance some other projects. So that would be an option that we could entertain as well. So some of those capital improvements that have been kind of pushed out into time, we could potentially finance those through this process. At any rate, I think Mr. Pennell will be bringing forward a presentation on this, and possibly, well, he'd have more details than I can bring from my memory, but and possibly a recommendation on to go forward or not to go forward with this. So, unless Ms. Jarvis has anything else from that meeting, those are the things that I recall.
Okay, thank you. 9.2 is discussion of the ACT information for Mr. Petrie.
Yes, actually, Mr. Petroni brought this up. Unfortunately, he's not here tonight. But basically, in your packets, it outlines how our high school has done on our ACT scores, which is actually very well. On the back, there's actually some interesting information. If you take a look at that, it talks about kids who typically take Algebra 1, Algebra 2, and Geometry, 3 years of math, typically do better on ACTs than those kids who don't. And it's the same with when they take biology and chemistry in combination with physics. But as you can see, we have made some gradual increases in most everywhere over the last 5 years. Clearly, it is a system to be proud of in terms of how our kids perform on ACTs. And we are one of the few districts that actually, and I think it was the year before I got here, the board enacted the ACT class, prep class. Last year, the first year of it. So it has really the kids did very well. As you can see, this past year were their highest scores pretty much across the board. Even though the years before that, they did well also in those years. So I just put that in there for you to take a look at. Kids are doing very well.
I want to see that keep going that direction. It looks like this kind of stuff I could look at all day, but
And that's straight from the state. That's kind of what we get with our Ohio Achievement Tests, and they kind of give their synopsis on what we could do to improve and some different factors that we can think about.
great, thank you. Okay, the other,
That videographer, we approved his contract. He's telling us all what to do, isn't he?
Bossy now.
let's see over there. Yeah. 9.3, he's turning all red. Red. Okay, 9.3, dual credit MOU with Cincinnati State. Mrs. Strittenberger, fill us in, and Mrs. Cook, or Ms. Cook, I'm sorry.
Well, I would like to just first send out a thank you to everyone who allowed us the opportunity to bring Andrea over to central office. There's a lot that we're doing at the high school level and at the with our pilot, and this is just one example of some collective work that we're doing, and I want to let her present what has taken place, and we're real excited about this. It's a dual credit opportunity so with Cincinnati State. So I'm looking forward to this. This is going to impact our high school students with some positives and an opportunity to save some money for our parents. So we're excited about that.
Okay, I'll first define what a dual enrollment course is. It is a high school course that is taught by one of our high school teachers that is also endorsed by a university as an adjunct instructor. So in this case, Mr. Hansen is a teacher of AP US History here within the building, and he has been in dialogue with Cincinnati State, who has accepted him as an adjunct instructor. Therefore, with the partnership, if this goes through, between us and Cincinnati State, our students would have the opportunity to earn 6 semester hours this school year at hopefully no cost. And I say hopefully no cost because we received a memo of understanding last Friday. We
we saw a couple glitches in it, so we rewrote that this week, and we forwarded that on to Cincinnati State for their approval. As of this afternoon, they were looking it over, and hopefully we'll have an answer from them if the changes that we've asked them to make will be enacted on their part. So I do have a copy. Ms. Vincent passed that out. The document itself is what they gave us. The portion that is highlighted is what I've asked them to change. So there was some vagueness within the document. If you'll look at the second page, you get the document, the highlighted portion on number 8.
When in doubt, throw sports in there.
Right, and that's what we've done. There was some vagueness within the partnership agreement whereby Cincinnati State was asking us to agree to waive tuition fees in exchange for what they called in-kind services, but those were not defined by the university. We felt this was vague, we weren't sure what they wanted, so we called them and came up with the 5 items that I have highlighted. Those are at very little cost to us. 2 banners at the athletic fields would be at $115 a piece, so $230. We do have the option within the dual credit to charge our family $65 a credit hour or $390 for the 6 hours if we do not do an exchange for in-kind services. We felt that $230 for 2 banners and that the remainder of what we've offered them as free services would definitely offset the cost of over $11,000 to our families within the district. So that's the first portion that we saw that could be questionable. If you flip over to the next page, number 3, under Springboro High School will, there was some vagueness within the professional development on number 3, stating that we would support and provide release time for our instructor to attend professional development with Cincinnati State. We would welcome any of our teachers getting professional development at no cost to us. However, we don't want to lose a teacher for an indefinite amount of time from our classroom. So we wrote that as to not exceed 1 full workday per academic semester. So these changes, they believe are positive changes, and we hope to hear back from them tomorrow. We also hope that as a board you would approve these changes and also allow us to enter into an agreement that would allow our students to gain 6 semester hours. If so, we are also talking to some other universities and colleges in the area to afford more opportunities for our students at low-cost college credits for courses that they are already taking or may be interested in taking next year.
So help me understand the difference between this and like PSEO.
Okay, question was, help me understand the difference between dual enrollment and PSEO. Typically, our students who engage in PSEO or post-secondary education option leave the high school and go to an area college, Miami University, UD, Wright State, Sinclair, and they are taught by a college instructor. Dual enrollment is a course whereby they don't have to leave the high school, and it is taught by our own instructors that have been entered into an agreement with the local college as an adjunct instructor. So it keeps our students here within the building.
So the students that are currently in the AP History class this year will be affected by this if we can get this through, and they will earn 6 credit hours.
If you approve, yes.
So then also, like with PSEO, when they go out and they get these college credits, and then when they apply for school next year, depending on the school, they may accept this. Would that be the same with this? Would other schools accept the credits that they're getting with this dual, or is this only if you go to Cincinnati State?
The
Transfer
Ohio,
'em.
there's a model called the Ohio Transfer Module, and these courses, in particular this class, would cover the first 2 history courses and the basic education requirements of the Ohio Transfer Module. Any schools that are out of state, you can check with them if your child is taking this course, gain 6 credit hours, check with the out of state prior to enrollment to see if they would accept those. But these are within the Ohio Transfer Module, and they would be recognized by any state school within the state of Ohio.
And was this something that Mr. Hansen pursued with Cincinnati State, or is this something that we were kind of working with them, or the other AP teachers?
To my knowledge, Mr. Hansen initiated this.
Okay.
And I say to my knowledge because I found out about this last week.
Okay.
So I'm 11th hour on this.
So just a clarification. The class that will be offered for dual credit, is that different than AP US History, or is it the same class?
It is, he will be following the syllabus that is College Board certified for the AP US History course. The college is accepting that syllabus as a mirror to their first 2 courses in US History.
And will the students be required to take the AP exam at the end of it because of this getting the dual credit, or is there?
We would like the students to take the AP exam, so we're talking about incentives that we can offer our students,
But it's not a requirement.
but it is not a requirement.
So students who took the class and passed it would get credit as long as they went to an Ohio university.
State.
Yeah.
State University.
State university. And if they took the AP exam, of course, then they would potentially be eligible. Assuming they scored well enough on that exam, even outside the state, they could potentially get credit.
That's correct, and if you visit the College Board website, they have a list of courses, or a list of universities where you can go in, and it's universities all the way across the United States, and you can say, if I scored a 3 on my AP US History exam, would University of Houston take that as either a waiver for the first history course, or would they allow me to take my credits and to start off my transcript with that university? So the College Board site has a complete listing of what universities accept at what level of score. So if you score 3, 4, or 5, what universities will accept those credits. So I would encourage parents to visit that site.
Can we put that on our website so that people can see that, kind of recap
Yes, we'll put
that?
it on our curriculum section.
Maybe even send it out to the high school parents.
As soon as
so
we
they
get
know.
a contract of some kind or some kind of agreement, then we can do that. Right? We'll wait until it's done deal.
And keep in mind that we have had this discussion, we are having discussions, even from this past school year, about more opportunities with other colleges and universities. So this just happens to be the springboard to moving in that direction for these opportunities for our high school students.
Well, we're not only wanting to look at the dual credit or PSEO, our kids like to stay on campus. We really want to look at online options. We've looked at Alter, we've looked at Kettering, we've looked at Mason. Some of these districts that, as soon as I say that, they look at their gifted scores. They did very well. We want to engage in some of those to where we would have some online learning as well. So perhaps when kids are in study hall, instead of taking a study hall, they could go and get online credit and have 78 different courses to choose from. So Sinclair, Tammy and I and Andrea have been working with them on some things. So hopefully by this time next year, we have more options that will benefit kids and parents.
Now, this is new to us, obviously, our first foray into dual credit. How about other school districts? Are they doing these things?
Kings is very much, they're very involved in it. They have one of the highest volumes of it. Quite frankly, I don't know many high schools that aren't involved in it.
Oakwood is
very
strong
involved in it.
this opportunity.
The only cons to this are we're going to lose a teacher one day every semester
At the most.
and 2 banners and, okay.
A
So
few
you-
ads here and
It's
there.
professional development though, so while they're out, when they come back, they'll be getting more credential training and things like that when they're out, so.
Which is a plus for us.
Absolutely.
And the teacher and obviously the students. Very cool.
I just want to make sure, Chris, you made a comment that there's a potential that there will be a cost for the families or for the kids for this?
In this particular partnership, if we do not enter into the agreement, as you see it on the MOU, we can still partner with the university at a cost of $65 per credit hour or $390 for the 6 credit hours for the year. So we're working every angle to try to get this for free for our students through Cincinnati State, since they do have that available if we're willing to work with them.
Ms. Cook is the negotiator, I'm finding.
How many students are currently in the AP history?
Approximately 80.
80?
What we're thinking is we'll probably charge board members' kids.
Well, I think that makes sense.
Sorry, Jane.
So I'm just curious, so he's referring to my Harper's in AP and stressing, it's a tough class. But, so it's a trade-off. They would charge our district, if we didn't make this agreement for other things, it would cost us. Because that's what are they charging other schools, or are other schools coming up with other agreements, advertising agreements, which is kind of what we're doing? Are they charging Kings, for example?
No, 99% of the school districts, the way she explained it to me, enter into agreements just like what you
Like
see in
that.
front of you, so
Okay.
that the families do not have to pay.
And if we said no to the advertising potential, then we would have some costs that we would incur as a district, not be put on the parents, or it would be put on the district? Because
Put on
doesn't the district
parents.
have to pay for it? Oh,
Nothing, it costs nothing to the district.
I
Well,
see.
Can we, I mean, I guess I would have an issue with, if we're doing PSEO and it doesn't cost the parents, if we did dual.
That's what I
This
was
would be a board
confused
question.
about.
I would not feel comfortable passing that on to the parents. I would ask, if the district.
We'll come to you with options,
Yeah.
because Sinclair,
I mean, the
when
best
we work
option.
with them, is it $19 a credit hour? So we are gonna have to have that discussion of. 14. We're gonna have to have that discussion of, do we wanna pick that up through general fund, or do we wanna pass it on to the parent?
I do.
We just need to get specifics first. So we'll wait until January on that.
I'll take it there.
Actually, take that one. I'd like to take that one up early. That one I do read.
Sure, you wait till mine are almost all gone. But let me ask you about, you need this decision or this opposition to be told to you right now, right? Because we're talking about 80 students in it now, and we're talking about these 80 students getting dual credit or not getting dual credit within the next couple days. So the decision kind of has to be made. So I don't think there's a resolution that has to be approved by the board. I think it's just a matter of, if you oppose it, let her know. But other than that, I told her I couldn't imagine there'd be any opposition. It's a win all over the place.
Well, and just to, I know a lot of times the questions you asked, we can terminate this, we have to let them know 1 semester in advance. And that was one of the things that we took out of this. They wanted a 3-year deal, and we said, no, we want to be able to negotiate with all of the campuses. So basically, we would have to let them know in January that we're going to be out in May.
What special stuff did Mr. Hanson have to do to get this going with that? I mean,
He had to provide a copy of his resume, his transcripts, and also the course syllabus and the information that he was going to teach to see if it matched up with their History 111, 112.
I think it's fabulous.
Yeah, I like
Absolutely
to
fabulous.
impress with this, if possible.
Fabulous.
No opposition here. I'm glad that we're getting these initiatives started. I think it'll be great for kids and families. I think you said there are 80 kids enrolled now, and if they had to pay this tuition, it would be $390 each. If I did my old style math right, that's almost $30,000 that we would save them if we bought the banner and posted it. Whatever else.
Well, we want
Requirements, so.
We want to assure ourselves that we kind of expedite it as quickly as we can, because we don't want students to drop out of the class.
Right.
And hold that back, or hold them up with that decision. So-
Because the course has a lot of extracurricular work to be done, and so there's a lot of homework in the class. It is definitely, I think, college level plus some. I don't think it's going to be any different for the student at all. I think it's going to be the same amount of work, but they get 6 credit hours of college credits. Now, you said King's was already doing quite a bit of this?
Oh, yeah.
So can we kind of look into King's and see which other ones they're doing it with, and can we get on board with that faster?
And West Carrollton, I
Speed up
guess.
that timeline a little bit?
Yes.
West Carrollton had, I guess, some type of award for how many kids they had in PSEO this year.
PSEO or dual credit?
PSEO. They're both similar, but the dual credit, they stay on campus, which our demographic's very similar to King's.
I see.
So it has really taken off there,
So
so
King's has a large population in PSEO, you're saying?
both
Oh,
PSEO
both
and dual credit.
Okay. Okay, need to maybe talk to them again and.
Yeah, all of the universities, some of the universities will, they'll give you a certain amount of money if you do it, and then the parent has to pay them. They all have different ways that they go about it. It's quite an interesting little industry when you start looking at it. But I would like to thank Tammy and Andrea for taking care of this. Thank you.
That's great.
Way ahead of the game.
So I'm kind of.
Mr. Hanson?
And Mr. Hanson, of course.
It sounds like he started that ball rolling.
Now, is there a benefit to Mr. Hanson for going through the extra training and effort to?
Not on this one, no, he just did it to make sure the kids got it. Some colleges will offer the district $1,500, and a percentage of that has to go to the teacher. But on this one that he sought out, he just wanted it for his kids. Just, he actually set a meeting with us and said, we gotta get this done. I don't know what happened, but we gotta get this done, so. Yeah.
He's non-paid adjunct, so he does not receive a check.
There's no opposition, so it's really going on. All right, 9.4, discussion of educational assistant, Teresa Rohr.
You want to pull that off, or you still want to have it?
We can mention it. It was so much fun last time. I think we should follow up. We
need 12 now.
Actually, we hired 9 tonight. We had it down to 3. What had happened is when we met with all our administrators after the board meeting, we made it very clear that they were charged with outlining exactly where the aides were going, who they were going with, and what their schedules were. And I have all that information here if you want to see it. It's very, very complicated. But our new administrators really stepped up to the plate, and we have been working diligently to ensure that we are using our resources to the best of our ability. What had happened was, once we did get it down to 3 with manipulation of schedules and everything like that, is that we received 5 new students with needs for one-on-one aids, including, from the high school on down to elementary. So tonight we did hire 9 aides. I do have a spreadsheet available for anyone who would like to see how many aides are in each building. We have the highest amount of aides is at Dennis at this present time. We've had some foster care students also placed. So with that, we did hire 9 aides, and we are looking diligently at the IEPs as we go through the year, and making sure that we're supporting them in the most appropriate way, yet we are being, very responsible with the hiring practices. So that's kind of where we are. Ms. Rohr could not be here tonight, but we have been working diligently on this issue. We do have some meetings set up in the next couple of weeks with our administrators to follow up, along with our legal people, to make sure that we are following the IEPs, because it's better to make sure, it's not just good for the kids, but it's good for the district that we follow them exactly the way the law states, instead of not doing it, getting caught, not doing it, and then having a lawsuit. So we are being very diligent with this issue.
It's just the right thing to do.
It is. It
In
is.
our data, if you notice, we received a B in the area of special ed, so it's a lot of hard-working people in the area of special ed, no doubt about it.
Yes.
They do a nice job.
They are working every minute of the day. Any questions on that? Thank you.
I don't know, trustee chart. I don't know what AMO is. All right, 9.5, discussion of substitute rate of pay. Mrs. Vincent.
Mr. Petrie and I have had discussions looking at the rate of pay, particularly as you look at the teachers. We have a breakdown of daily rate for all substitute teachers on the left-hand side. And then we have bus drivers, classroom aides, cooks, custodians, nurses, and so on. We have been in discussion, and we would like to have some feedback on, when we look at our teacher aides, currently, and I have it in parentheses, we have $85 a day for a teacher substitute, which as you go down through, the highest it looks like is 90, so we're pretty well in the ballpark. As we go to the 21st day, which is what we start considering long-term subs, and we do have over 10 teachers this year who are going to be or are on pregnancy leave. We have at least 5 who are going to be out for the entire year. What we used to do, and that's why it's in parentheses, we stopped this in 12-13, is that on the 21st day, we would increase their rate of pay to $95. On the 61st day, historically, we would then put them on the salary schedule, which our salary schedule would be BA0, which would be $35,254. If we hired that person for a substitute for the entire year, starting on the first day, they would be making $190 a day, which you can see is pretty close in there with Edgewood, Talawanda, Wayne, etc. That is discontinued at this time. What we are proposing is we either bring that back or we find a way to, for these long-term subs that are going to be here for the 21st day or the 61st day, that we look at increasing their pay from the basic $85 a day. What that includes, and I believe I mentioned this last year, is when you have a substitute teacher come in and they're going to be in there for a month, 2 months, or an entire year. They are actually teaching the class. They are doing the grades. They are lesson planning. We did have a teacher last year, a substitute teacher, who said, I can go and work daily at this rate and not have to do lesson plans and grading and things. It was someone that was in a specialized area that we didn't have anybody else to come in and sub for. And so therefore that left the entire teaching team to have to do that for that substitute teacher. So those are some of the things we run into. So that's one of the issues that I'd like to draw your attention to for discussion.
Well, if I could add to that. For me, one of the main issues with that is the inconsistency for kids. We need that same teacher there. Having that controlled environment every day is essential. When we have a rotation of teachers throughout the school year, and one teacher comes in, tries to pick up where the other left off in the middle of the unit, who gets cheated in that scenario is the student. So I would at least like to be able to look at the $95. So, I mean, that's something we really need to consider.
So, you're saying right now, I mean, I'm seeing it on this sheet, it's not on there right now, the 21st day?
No, they just stay $85 all year long, correctly?
Yeah, that's correct. When we went to getting subs through Warren County ESC, the contract was written up that it would be a flat $85 fee regardless of how many days that they work.
And this is business days, so this is
Teacher work days.
teacher work days. So once they get to the 21st
Correct.
day, average maternity leave is going to be 6 weeks, right? So we're typically
8 weeks.
8 weeks.
Yes. And one of the other dilemmas is that when a lot of these districts go through Warren County, so they advertise how much money they're going to have here versus if they go to Kings or if they go to Mason or if they go to Kettering or not Kettering, because that wouldn't be Warren County, but any of the county schools.
So, just once again, because I'm seeing $1 on here of 95, is that what you're proposing then?
That is what that's going back to what we did do 2 years ago. And then we also, 2 years ago, for the 61st day, would then put them on the salary schedule.
And they got benefits.
They did not get benefits.
They don't get benefits.
Not now, but when we do the new law that's coming in with over 30 hours, we will have to get benefits regardless.
That's on hold right now, my understanding.
Well, that's the proposal.
Probably on hold forever.
So, going back to kind of what you said there, Mr. Dietrich, I agree 100% to keep continuity in the classroom, but I don't know how to say this. Just because you have the same person in there, if they're not a subject matter expert, it really doesn't matter, because I know, and I'm sure everybody probably has the same stories here or there, but I know like some of my kids, they've had long-term subs. That doesn't mean that they're really teaching the main thing. So if we're going to pay them more and treat them a little differently, we bring in people that understand the subject, because it's not really helping if
For
we don't.
long-term stubs, we mostly do unless it's a difficult area to cover. For example, the scenario I gave you with the scenario earlier, that was a Spanish teacher. That was
That's
a,
probably the one.
okay. And again, I think part of it is the due diligence on our administration, that if that person isn't doing what they need to do, then we take care of it a lot easier than if we have a teacher and they're not doing what they're supposed to do. But I think that goes back on, you know, people following up and making sure that those things are happening.
So when you try to find a substitute through the consortium, do you say, I need this content area?
Yes.
And they look for them first?
Correct.
Okay.
Like currently, we're looking for a speech person. We have 3 or 4 elementary teachers, specifically with the 4 through 8 or 4 through 9 certifications. They're all different. So yes, the principals look through And they really do try to find the best fit. The high school gets to be the hardest.
Absolutely.
Sure.
The other thing I'd like to point out is in the middle, we have the bus drivers. This was actually brought up by our SCEA person. If you look at Springboro with the bus driver pay, you will notice that we are not in line with anyone around. We $11.50, and the closest with competition is $13.50. And then also with the field trips, $9.75 versus the next lowest is $12.03. So we are proposing $2 more.
At least. And I'll tell you, I mean,
Per
from
area.
an operational standpoint, the bus driver, not to neglect that the teacher part isn't important, but that bus driver is extremely important to get the kids here. We had a couple days last year, Mrs. Harvard just has been here so long, she's able to manipulate it around a little bit, but there were days to where if we had any drivers out, we were not covering routes. We'll have mechanics out driving and everything else, because what's happening to us, we pay so low, is we get these people in, we pay some of these certifications they have to have, we train them, and then they go to these other school districts and make $6, $7 more an hour. So we really have to be competitive in this area, because, for example, last year at 5 Points, we couldn't do a field trip. They had to pay $5,000 or $6,000 for privatized busing to take them to Columbus, because we could not get bus drivers. They just don't come here that time of the year. They go where the money's at. So we have got to address this situation. We're way too low.
I would just throw out there that I think $3 more each makes sense to me. It still puts us at the bottom for field trips, and it puts us just above the other low ones if we did $3 an hour more for the bus drivers, for our regular bus drivers. It's not the highest, it's not even in the middle, it's on the lower end still.
Right.
So
They're-
I would
they're-
say 2 is not enough.
Well, the issue is that we don't want to pay our sub-bus drivers more than our beginning full-time bus drivers.
Right.
And when we get into above the $2 to $13.50, we're getting very close to having our subs being almost paid as much as our regular bus drivers. And they said that would be an issue.
Oh.
I talked to Mrs. Harrover today,
Yeah, that's why
because I wanted to make sure,
you should just keeping it at 2.
correct,
Or 250.
or 250.
Because it is, I mean, it's tough to get
Because when you
that
look at it in
follow.
this, and I understand exactly what you're saying, Dr. Colesworth, there were some concerns that would, there would not be a gap, so.
Well, after seeing that one bus driver that left that, there must be a demand.
Our kids are great on the school bus, but I don't want the public to think that, oh no, let me tell you, our kids are great. They're phenomenal on the
It's
bus.
all in the perspective.
Nothing wrong with a little talking.
Remember, he's
You
been
wouldn't
to
pay
some
me.
other districts.
I'd rather be a board member than a bus driver. That is, that is.
That's rough.
Is there a reason that field trips are less than regular,
Why are they so low? Is that
Transportation.
so low?
Well, we were hoping you'd give us some insight on why they're so low, because we were shocked when we saw it as well.
Yeah, I have no clue. Just so you guys know out there, field trips, for example, we paid $9.75 an hour. And it looks like we're looking at a spreadsheet of all the other districts, and the next lowest, as you said, was $12.03. And then the next one after that is $12.87, $13.50.
And you want to be very careful with Carlisle, because they do take people from us.
They do take people from us because they pay a little bit more?
Yes, and they're
Yeah.
close.
Yeah, they're close, yeah, they live in the area.
Right,
Don't have to commute too far.
correct.
Yeah, so what you're suggesting is we get to $12.75, which would put us just a little above Carlisle, not like that's a few cents, but still 70 cents more an hour.
Why can't we make the field trip rate the same as the sub rate? What does?
I think that was
Is
your
that,
point, wasn't
is that the same?
Yeah,
order?
that was my
Yeah,
point.
some,
is
as you
do.
see, some do and some don't. I don't have that much history on it, but.
I would
It's
say
subbing
the
and
same
subbing, I
thing.
think,
It just doesn't make sense.
You do a lot of these little things and you make it different, unless there's a good reason for it. It just seems to me that that's one of those little administrative details that just adds to somebody's work somewhere down the line. I'm trying to keep track of all these different rates.
$13.50 on both makes sense?
If there's not a reason to do that, then let's just make it the same.
so that would take a resolution next board
Okay.
meeting?
Right.
Mhm.
So 1350 on both.
Can I go back to the teacher? If we look at, stop it. If we look at the average that these teachers are out, so short-term leave or the average number of days that we have out consecutively, can we get some kind of, do we have like an idea of how we typically have X number of teachers out for 8 weeks? We typically have, like, what kind of breakdown increments are? Do we have that
Spent
data?
about $173,000 on sick leave last year. That'd be right, Tracy, am I close? I thought it was somewhere I investigated that number. We get you the exact number on that, the number of days missed per grade level.
And if the teacher's out for 3 days, they're typically required to have lesson plans available for the sub, or?
They're
what
out,
is-
period. What we have is, they all have emergency plans that are kept in the office. But anytime they're out, they have to have lesson plans. And typically, all of our teachers, when you walk into their classroom, it's required that they have those there ready. So if it's part of their evaluation, we walk over and take a look at their lesson plans.
So then I guess if that's the case, if I'm a teacher and I'm going to go on maternity leave for 8 weeks and I already have that in line, then I have more of a problem with paying a long-term sub more because the lesson plans are already there.
No, not for 8 weeks. They wouldn't be there for 8 because
They
the
typically
kids.
do it for the first 2,
Yeah,
just to
Okay.
get them acclimated.
yeah.
But then you're also talking about parent contacts, you're talking
Grades.
grades is the
IEP.
testing issues, yeah, the grading.
After
I mean, they're
about 2
basically
weeks.
taking it over once they're going to,
Yeah.
after 2 weeks.
It's hard to stick to a lesson plan. There'd be no way they could put 8 weeks.
So I think that's why you have the 21st day, that's basically 3 weeks.
Okay.
So you know by then that there's something serious going on. A lot of the new teachers, FMLA kicks in, all of that kind of thing, so.
So those days across the top are calendar days as opposed to work days?
No, they're work days.
Now, let me ask this, Lee, I've worked in multiple districts that do this differently. They have to work 21 consecutive days.
That's correct.
So if they miss a day within that 21
It
days.
starts over.
It starts over. So for them to go to that increased pay, they can't miss a day in 21 days, or it starts over. So there are some stipulations there.
And the same thing from the 21st to the 61st would be something different.
That is
They
correct.
have to be consecutive.
They have to be consecutive.
Which is, it's not simple. If you're not used to working with kids and the germs the kids bring in, odds are you're probably going to get sick. So it's kind of a tough line to walk there.
Okay. Can we move on to the classroom aides?
Yeah, actually, I think you'll find as you look down, the rest of it, we have pretty good parity. Those, the teacher, long-term, and the bus drivers were the concerns that we saw and the concerns that we've heard from different circumstances in the past year that we've been here.
The rest are on the low end, but they're not.
They're
not-
comparable,
Yeah.
yes.
Not too.
They're not out of line, I wouldn't say.
Not out of line. Not the high, not the low. Okay, so those are the two you want to address, really? Or 4, I'm sorry, 4 categories then. Right?
Are these part of the negotiated agreement? These secrets?
Okay, so there'll be a resolution for the next board meeting
Yes.
on, would there be 4? You
Um,
have to do 4 probably. That'd be my guess.
I would kind of like to have a feeling whether we want to just go, start with the 11th day and then 21st, or all 4 on
I think we can start with the 21st.
the 21st, and then do we want to, because a lot of them don't do the 46th, do we want to do a 21st and a 61st? Okay.
And you don't backtrack, right? Or do you? Let's say they're at day 61, then do you turn them into the contract and then back pay them? Or do you start that day and say, going forward, you're on the?
That's a really good question. Teresa, as you know?
Go forward.
At the 61st day, if there are 60, and that rate pay changes, do we go back and pay them the difference?
No, day
It just
61,
starts.
They start like day 1 on the pay
Okay.
schedule.
But the benefit
And
for,
that's when the benefits start too.
the benefit for them though is they get a year in STRS, depending on how many days they work. So it's really a benefit for them when they do it.
120 days.
120 days.
Even if they sub 120 days, they get a year.
Yeah, that's what
I will double check that.
What?
You said the benefits start at.
It says
You said
61
the
benefits.
It does, because I
It
did
did
think.
start, so I just.
Benefits start. If we-
Clarity.
Okay, I must have misunderstood Daphne when I talked to her today.
Yeah, if we move to that, then benefits would start at day 61 too. If we're going to the old rule that we used to follow.
We're not
Benefits
going
would
to
start
Do we have to?
How long is maternity?
Okay, so that's what I guess the misconception is.
So that wouldn't even.
We did do benefits, and that's what Tracy's saying. We did add benefits to that, but we don't have to
On day 61.
on day 61.
We'd have to make sure in our negotiated agreement, that I don't think
That's
there
not
would be something in
negotiated.
there.
It's not.
It's not in there?
No.
Okay. Well, first and foremost, you're probably not gonna have a lot of long-term subs anyways. I mean, you're gonna be able to count them on one hand. Then
Maybe
get to
over
the
6
six
Two.
board. Two.
We have a lot of maternity leaves this year.
But that wouldn't be over 61 days though.
That's true. Yeah, if they take the rest.
If they take the whole year off, or it's.
Yeah, we have at least 5 taking a whole year off.
Like the what, sorry?
We have at least 5 teachers taking the rest of the year off once they deliver.
They're using their
Sorry.
accumulated sick, right?
Yes.
And
Or-
does a physician have to order that,
No.
to take your accumulated sick? When I was at Miami University, the physician had to order that I be bed rested, and that's the only way I got my semester off.
Yeah.
I had to have a physician's statement that I needed.
Yeah,
That's how it
it
was.
is, it
Yeah,
is.
I
For
think
maternity
you have
leave,
to
you
do
get
that.
6 weeks for
Can't
vaginal
just
birth
take it.
and 8 weeks for cesarean birth. Anything after that is unpaid.
You'd have to be physician excused.
Yeah,
For
you'd have
some
to have a
reason,
note
they'd have
for
to
some
write you a
reason.
note. I mean, that's just how it was
Yeah.
a few years ago.
So I believe they're going unpaid.
They'll be unpaid. There's
It
still.
doesn't matter, but I'm
There's,
just curious.
there's
You already know
12.
this year they're doing it?
Yes, because they have to do it in advance.
It is unpaid, because we
Yes.
have to approve them
That's
to go
right.
a whole year. It is unpaid, unless it's a doctor. You're right, Dr.
Okay.
So it's not a lot of people we're talking about here that's gonna get paid for this. However, it is a good incentive to get the best people.
But it's almost a
out there.
wash, probably in this case, because they're going unpaid, you're gonna pay
That's
something else.
correct.
Or to bring them in a base, these people from that base.
Right, they're, correct.
Close to it.
You're correct.
Okay, so, is that good?
I will bring it next week.
Okay, and you can ask Bill whether you need 4 resolutions or. Okay.
It's a wash excluding benefits, because we're still paying the benefits
Oh, that's
for
true.
the person who's on leave. Right?
No, it's
No.
unpaid.
No, I think their benefits still continue.
No, they don't.
They
How
don't.
can they continue if we're not paying them?
They don't.
Very complicated.
It is very
They,
complicated.
they get benefits for 12 weeks total, because that's the FMLA leave law. And then once those 12 weeks are up, they no longer receive benefits.
Unless it's a doctor's excuse.
Unless
that
it's a
they-
doctor's note for their off, then they would be paid too.
Right.
But once those 12 weeks are up and there's no more doctor's note, then they receive no pay, no benefits. And then it's just unpaid. Now, they can go on COBRA and pay for benefits themselves.
Okay. Any other questions? Alrighty. 9.6, public participation on work session agenda item. Would anybody like to speak?
I've heard it said before, and so I wanted to question it. You talked about bus drivers getting the training and then leaving our district. Isn't there a way that we can say, if we pay for your training, you need to stay a certain amount of time, at least a year or whatever, or if you're gonna go to another district on our dime, it would seem like they would need to reimburse us for the costs of the training. It just doesn't seem right to have to let them do that. So, I mean, I would like, it just doesn't
We
seem
can
right.
check that out, but I
think you
don't,
should-
it's really hard to hold people to most of these contracts.
Let's put a non-compete on these bus drivers. That's
But
what
I
want.
have heard that. Other businesses do that.
That's all I was just gonna say.
Yeah,
Yeah,
other
I
businesses
mean,
do that.
it seems
That's
like we
not
should,
unreasonable.
it's not right, it's not honest of them to do that. So I think that it's something we should look at. Maybe people aren't gonna like me for saying it, but hey, it needs to happen.
Other
All
businesses
along.
protect their
I like
money. They do.
So I'd like to find out why, so.
It may be a negotiated item, right?
I don't see the bus drivers have to have something totally different than everyone else. I mean, there are, in certain areas, we do pay for for some of the certifications that are like $30 or $40. But the bus drivers are different, because I get an email that lets me know when their certifications are up, because they have to have those for our insurance to kick in, so.
Kathy?
Our
our new contracts, I believe, I've read this contract so many times, it's like burned in my head. I think there is a new clause that if they leave after, if we pay for their certification, that they have to reimburse it and it will be taken out of their paycheck.
Okay.
I believe,
You think the
it's from memory.
superintendent
I
who's
don't
there
have
would
it
know
with-
that, wouldn't
I
he?
don't have it with me, but I've read this contract so many times.
It was a
that-
total overhaul of that, but what we
Yeah.
did in there,
There is
I didn't
something
want to
like
say
that.
that because I didn't want to speak out of turn, but I know there's something in there
Yeah, I
about it.
do too. I knew
But
there
on
was
the other
something.
end, for the people who stay, we're paying for some of those certifications.
Right.
But we did, I'm pretty sure to get that, we got the other where if they leave, they owe us money.
And I want to be clear, I don't object if they stay with us.
Yeah.
But if they work with us for a couple of months and we pay for their training, then they can somewhere else.
Right.
It's in the contract, I can't.
There's
Exact
several
words.
exclusions in there like that that we wanted to make sure we had in there. We'll report that out next time. Our HR person will be happy to read over
Like
that
the
document, check that out.
Right?
We just got the new contract to Ashley today, so.
Well, that would be a Jenny Harrell question.
Charles.
Okay, I have a question too.
Yeah.
Regarding the dual enrollment, I think that's a great idea. I mean, want to push that as much as possible. I am a little confused, though. You're saying that the AP US History would equate to 6 credit hours, but then they would also, you would encourage them to take the AP exam, which an AP exam equates to 3 credit hours if you were to be approved with your AP class, basically. So what would be the benefit of taking the AP exam? I mean, that's cost to the parent. I'm just curious.
What's your name?
Oh, sorry, Leanne McKay.
Intrinsic rewards. Sorry, I don't have a better answer.
Well, I was wondering, I thought you had answered that it's possible, I'm thinking of Ohio Northern in particular, it's not a state, it's not a land grant institution, so I don't think it counts like a state institution would, but I believe that there were quite a few of the AP exam scores that Brooke got to transfer over. So I think that's a good question. I mean, that's what I had too, but I was thinking that they may not take the 6 credit hours from Cincinnati State, but they may take the 3 for the AP score.
Or vice
That's
versa,
what I
they
was
may
thinking.
take the credits, and if you get a low score on your AP, they're not going to take that.
Well, when I've spoken to the kids about it, because I wondered that as well, I know I always ask Miss Dauber about all this stuff, but a lot of the kids, it's some leverage when they go to get into colleges if they do really well on that. So I think our kids, they have strategies on why they take them or don't take them. So I think it's a little more than even that. It's more of the appearance on their transcripts to get into college.
The AP part?
The AP part.
Oh, okay.
When they do really well on that, it holds some weight. And that's why a lot of the kids will take the AP classes instead of PSEO, because some colleges look at it a little differently.
But she was kind of leaning towards, would it hurt them in any way with this AP score? Let's say it came out a 2. Do you think that would, if they had to report that would damage them?
They don't have to report it.
Right.
Yeah, that wasn't really the problem. I'm just thinking, if you're already getting the 6 credits, then why pay the $80 to take the AP class, which is really only worth 3 credit hours?
Ms. Cook?
And if you're not doing the Ohio transfer model, if you're going to a school outside of the state that perhaps does not accept Cincinnati State credits, that might be.
That would, yeah, and that's the biggest thing between PSEO, you getting those credits versus AP. There's a whole big thing there, but that was just a question I had.
Great question.
Yeah, that's just the point I was going to make, that there's an incentive if you want to go outside of Ohio or outside of these particular universities that accept the Cincinnati State credit.
We hope this year, I would like to have a panel of students that meet with me. I know Mrs. Cook and Ms. Stripper and I have discussed it. I know Tyler, correct? I met with Tyler about 2 weeks ago. She's done all kinds of research. We need to hire her on the side. But she had looked at all kinds of AP courses. So we would like to meet with the kids to discuss these because they do look at these. It's interesting in the way that they use these courses to move into college. So we're going to start finding out some information like that. But Tyler was definitely a proponent of more AP classes and the dual credit option as well. So that's something we're going to be looking at.
I thought one of the issues was pushing more kids into the AP, and in
Right.
that case, we may have to have more sections.
Right.
of the.
Tyler has all the numbers, of how many kids are in there too.
Would you like me to read that out?
She did a year's worth of research for us. I didn't even know what was happening. It was great.
Okay, anybody else? All right, 9.7, discussion of other business as required. Anybody have any other business they want to discuss? All righty, then I need a motion to move into executive session for reasons of RC 121.22 G15 to consider the appointment, employment dismissal, discipline or promotion or demotion or compensation of a public employee or official, matters to be kept confidential by federal law or regulation by state statute. Need a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Mr. Regano, I need a second.
Second.
Mrs. Cole, and roll call.
Regano,
Yes.
Poole,
Yes.
Coles,
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to take a 5-minute recess and then reconvene for executive session. There will be no votes taken.
No action after.
No action. Yeah.